Hello, welcome back to our channel Art Culture Festival, where we talk about all things art. In today's episode, we will talk about how an artist can price their art. Pricing your art is different from making art. It's something you do with your art after it's made, when it's ready to leave your studio and get sold either by you personally or through a gallery, an agent, an art fair, studios, wherever. Making art is about the individual creative process, experience that come from within. Pricing art for sale is about what's happening on the outside, especially in the art world. So before we begin, we will just talk briefly about the art world. The art world comprises everyone involved in producing, commissioning, presenting, preserving, promoting, chronicling, criticizing, buying and selling fine art. Some may use the singular art world to refer only to the elite level of globalized fine art. It is recognized that there are many art worlds actually, defined either by their location or alternative definitions of fine art. So it is important that you understand how the art market works and where your art fits into the bigger picture. So how does one quantify their creativity? How does an artist price their art? Just like any other product, art is priced according to certain criteria, and these criteria sometimes are more to do with what's going on in the marketplace than they do with you as an artist. They're about how people in the art world, people like dealers, galleries, agents, publishers, auction houses, appraisers, art advisors, and collectors value your art. The artist needs to have an idea of what their art is worth. The market will have an idea of what their art is worth, and somehow they must come to a middle ground with the pricing structure. For those artists who have little or no sales experience, this one is for you. If you haven't sold your art, a good starting point for you is to price your work based on time, labor, and cost of materials. So 3 things. Pay yourself a reasonable hourly wage, add the cost of materials, and make that your asking price. For example, if materials cost you 500 INR, you take 20 hours to make the art and you pay yourself 200 INR per hour to make it, then the price of your art would be 4,500 INR. Don't forget the comparables though. If you use this formula and your art turns out to be more expensive than what other artists in your area charge for similar art, you may have to rethink your pricing. Pay yourself a little less per hour perhaps. So here are the basic art pricing fundamentals. Number 1 is define your marketplace. Where do you sell your art? Do you sell locally, regionally, nationally, internationally? The art and the artists and prices in your market are the ones you should pay the most attention to. Be aware of the art market that surrounds you. Define your type of art and work. What kind of art do you make? What are its physical characteristics? In what ways is it similar to other artists? How do you categorize it? Do you paint abstract? What kind of abstract is it? How would you describe them? How would you describe your art? The process? It is very key to understand yourself as an artist and what you're putting out into the art market. The third point is, again, determine which artists make similar art around you. So what are the works your contemporaries are doing? How are they pricing it? It is very important to be aware of the kind of art that is available to the general buyers in the market. Pay particular attention to those artists who already have a career, accomplishments and resumes similar to yours, who've been making art about as long as you have, showing about as long as you have, selling about as long as you have. These artists are your competitors, and it will give you a good view of the playing field and help you better your sales. So another really important point is basing your pricing on facts and not feelings. don't confuse your personal opinion of your art or what you think the art world should be like or how you think they should respond to your art with how things actually work. If you find yourself saying things like, people don't understand my work, people don't appreciate me, I'm just as good as Van Gogh or Picasso, even though they're so much famous, or sooner or later I'll find the perfect dealer and everything will work out magically, you may be making some errors in judgment. If you're not quite sure where you stand, invite a few people to look at your work and tell you what they think. Not your best friend or your biggest fans, but industry professionals who know something about art and will be honest and direct. Encourage them to be truthful because that's what you need. And don't get defensive. Doing this will not help you. When you're objective about your art, you maximize your chances of succeeding as an artist and making sales. So what is the difference between asking prices and selling prices? So once you've done your evaluation and you're ready to set your prices by comparison, base your prices on what sells. To give you a simple example, you have done your research and you've narrowed down a handful of artists whose artworks are priced between the range of 10,000 INR and 2 lakh INR. But within this range, the only art that sells are priced between 10,000 INR and 15,000 INR. And the expensive pieces just don't sell. This tells you that the buyers don't want to pay more for the expensive pieces. They're too high. So 10,000 INR to 50,000 INR is the range you would want to stick to when pricing your art. So we must be aware of a really common art world selling technique, which is when a high priced original is sometimes used to sell lower or more affordably priced originals. Certain galleries or artists don't care whether they sell their most expensive works. They might not even want to. They're perfectly happy to sell the lower priced originals or the prints. Pricing certain originals high is a marketing technique designed to make lower priced originals look more attractive to buyers who cannot afford the high priced ones. It's almost like a bargain. This effect almost always works, so don't automatically assume that the highest priced art always sells, because many times it doesn't. So in conclusion, let's talk about some key points we must remember, especially beginner artists must remember when it comes to pricing their art. First is be consistent. Very important. Consistency is key, especially when you have to build a customer base. Second is drop all personal feelings related to your art and research well as to what is the trend and the patterns in the art market. You have to detach your personal opinions about your art and see the trends of the art market, which will help you make better sales. The third point is competitive pricing. This will ensure a strong foothold in a rather competitive climate. The art market is $1 billion industry, and to have a good grip on it is a great achievement. So with that, we conclude today's episode of how an artist should price their art and important points to keep in mind when they are evaluating their art. As you know, the art market is extremely subjective and extremely volatile. So trends and patterns come and go, and it is very, very important to update yourself, do your research, and see what best strategy works for you as an artist in an extremely competitive climate. So with that, we end today's episode. Please like and subscribe our video and click the notification bell to get posted every time we upload a new